The story begins with Jiro, who's an ultra nerd and loves playing games with his friend Kamo. Meanwhile, school idol Akari is trying to have a conversation with her crush Tenjin, who's the most popular guy in the school. Now, unlike Tenjin, most girls avoid Jiro. In fact, his childhood friend Shiori is the only one who hangs out with him. Jiro has been in love with her for years and hopes to win her heart during the upcoming marriage practical. This strange course will pair up boys and girls, and these couples will be living together till graduation to learn the ups and downs of marriage. Jiro is dreaming about living with Shiori, but his dreams are crushed when he's chosen to live with Akari, and this leads to a weird situation. They don't like each other, and their crushes Shiori and Tenjin somehow ended up together. Jiro is certain that the rest of his school life is gonna be miserable, but Akari has the plan to solve everything. She knows that couples are ranked, and if you get the A rank, you can swap partners with some other A rank couple. She wants Jiro to work hard so they can change partners with Shiori and Tenjin. Her plan cheers up Jiro, and he gives her a kiss to earn more points. This shocks Akari, but she doesn't complain since she liked it. The next day, Jiro is stuck at school because it's raining, and he doesn't have an umbrella. This is when he runs into Shiori, who's in the same boat as him. After talking to her, Jiro feels better, but he's worried that she will fall in love with Tenjin, who shows up there to take Shiori home. Jiro is heartbroken at this point, but Akari once again is there for him. She takes him home and even cooks dinner for him. Her actions are confusing Jiro, who is starting to feel something for her. Things take another strange turn the next day, when Akari asks Jiro to watch a horror film with him. She hopes to gain some points by doing this romantic activity, but she's way too scared because the power has gone out. At first, Jiro tries to tease her by telling her scary stories, but eventually, he comforts her, and she even falls asleep in his arms. This experience helps their relationship, and they quickly reach B rank. A few days later, Jiro is at home because he has a fever. He isn't doing too well, and wants Akari to get him something to eat. But she does something even better for him. She tells Shiori about his sickness. So that evening, Jiro gets a surprise visit from his friend, who gives him some medicine and even cooks for him. Jiro is having the time of his life, despite his sickness, and remembers how he almost confessed to Shiori when they were in middle school. Unfortunately, he misunderstood her feelings and hid his own. He thinks she doesn't see him as anything more than a friend, but he's wrong, and after he falls asleep, Shiori whispers in his ear that she loves him. The next day, Jiro feels better and thanks Akari by helping her cook for Tenjin. On the weekend, Akari is ready to meet Tenjin and present the feast that she has cooked for him. Her excitement, however, is replaced by heartbreak when she learns that Tenjin already had lunch with Shiori. Akari feels that she's not good enough for Tenjin, so Jiro tries telling her that she's perfect, and this is when they almost end up making love to each other. Jiro, however, comes back to his senses and stops her. This embarrassing moment makes things awkward between them, and they start losing points. At the end of the month, Tenjin and Shiori are in the A rank, while Jiro and Akari are at rock bottom. This worries Shiori, who asks Jiro to have a talk with Akari. Her words encourage Jiro, who goes back to his dorm, and he tells Akari that he wants to be her friend once again. He wants to forget about that awkward moment and move on. It turns out Akari also wants the same thing, and all of this only brings them closer. The two of them are once again working together to win over their crushes. And luckily for Akari, she finds herself alone with Tenjin in the gym storage room. He saves her from some falling boxes, and she asks him if he'll ever swap partners. Her heart is once again broken when Tenjin says he won't be leaving Shiori. His response makes her cry, but she lies that some dust went into her eyes. Tenjin is checking her eyes when out of nowhere, Kamo pops up there. He thinks that Tenjin was making out with Akari, and he tells Jiro about it the next day. This news once again confuses Jiro. On one hand, he feels happy for Akari, but for some reason, he also feels a little sad. Still, that evening, he congratulates Akari for getting intimate with the one she loves, but this is when she explains that Tenjin was just checking her eyes. She also shares how Tenjin turned down her offer for a swap. She starts tearing up while talking about it, and Jiro gives her a big hug to help her calm down. His actions win over Akari's heart, and that evening, she tells Jiro that he's the only guy she's ever kissed. This admission is embarrassing for both of them, but somewhere in their heart, they also feel happy about it. A few days later, Shiori's best friend Hamano tells her to be more aggressive if she really wants to date Jiro. She even asks Shiori to kiss Jiro when they are cleaning the classroom that evening. Shiori is very shy, but she doesn't want to lose Jiro, so she tries to tell him her feelings, but chickens out at the very last moment. Meanwhile, Akari's friends ask her why she talks about Jiro so much these days. Their questions suddenly make Akari realize how much she's been thinking about Jiro. She's already conflicted about her feelings, and that night, she gets mad at Jiro since he still calls her by her last name. In her anger, her feelings come out, and she confesses that she likes Jiro. She instantly regrets what she said and runs into her room, leaving Jiro baffled by what he just heard. While he thinks he misheard her since Akari loves Tenjin, Akari knows that her confession was just an expression of her true feelings. The two of them move past this encounter and start preparing for exams. Akari doesn't like studying, so Jiro tricks her into solving maths problems. In return, Akari starts teasing him by clinging to him. She's just goofing around, but things once again get out of hand, and Jiro goes to kiss her. Unfortunately, a nosebleed ruins the moment, and Akari makes even more fun of him for being so sensitive. With their relationship getting better and better each day, it's not long before they are among the highest ranked couples in school. While they are both happy about it, Jiro knows that Akari doesn't like when he uses her last name. So one afternoon, he calls her by her first name, and suddenly, Akari is overcome by her feelings for him. For the first time, she's seriously considering Jiro as her lover. However, before she can tell him how she feels, things get complicated. The very next day, Shiori gets hurt and is sent to the infirmary. Jiro is worried about her, so he runs to see how she's doing. While they're talking, however, things take a crazy turn, and they end up kissing by complete accident. Akari's friend sees through the curtain, and she tells Akari that someone was getting intimate in the infirmary. At the same time, Jiro texts Akari that he was hanging out with Shiori in the infirmary. Akari puts two and two together and figures out that Jiro finally managed to win Shiori's heart. She wants to congratulate him, but she also feels jealous. She wants to be angry with Jiro, but after finding him asleep in the living room, she just lies down next to him. The next morning, Jiro is obviously shocked to see her in bed with him. After teasing him a little, Akari decides to respect his choice and help him in his pursuit of Shiori. She even lies to her friends that she doesn't like Jiro, and after getting her answer, they set her up on a date with Tenjin, who's going to meet them at the summer festival that evening. As the night approaches, Jiro helps Akari get on her yukata. Akari doesn't want to leave him behind, but she wants to move on, so she goes to the festival. There she learns that Tenjin couldn't come because he's working overtime. Akari is annoyed, but she tries to enjoy herself with her friends. Her mood, however, is completely ruined when she spots Tenjin walking through the festival with Shiori. He's just going home from work, but Akari thinks he's on a date with Shiori. With her heart in tatters once again, she calls Jiro. After hearing her cry on the phone, he runs outside to help her. Luckily, she's sitting right by the door, so he brings her inside and tries his best to cheer her up. His kindness once again leaves a huge impression on Akari, who spends the evening enjoying fireworks with him from her balcony. After that day, Akari openly starts showing her feelings for Jiro. While things are going great between them, Shiori is worried that her friendship with Jiro is ruined by that accidental kiss. Luckily, Tenjin tells her that she shouldn't regret kissing someone if she liked it. He also advises her to share her feelings with Jiro before it's too late. Shiori likes this advice, but is scared to approach Jiro. Lady Luck once again is on her side because Jiro runs into her while she's carrying groceries. While he's helping her, she tells him that she liked their kiss and even thanks him for it. Her words put Jiro at ease, and the awkwardness between them disappears instantly. Jiro is happy that he resolved everything with Shiori because summer vacations are about to start and he plans to spend an entire month gaming. But his plans are crushed when he learns that Kamo enrolled him for a part-time job at the start of his vacations. At first, he really doesn't want to take a job. His tone changes, however, when he learns that Shiori is also going to be working with him. And as if the coincidence wasn't big enough, it turns out Akari has also applied for the same job. She even shows off a rather steamy swimsuit to Jiro and says that she will only wear it for him. By now, it's clear that she likes him, but Jiro is too thick to figure out how she feels. He is focused on taking the next step with Shiori during his part-time job in a beachside cafe. He even offers to work in the kitchen with Shiori, where they almost make out. Jiro has only been paying attention to Shiori so far, and even at the beach, he decides to hang out with her. This makes Akari jealous, and she takes him away to express her anger. There, some guys try to hit on her, but once again, Jiro surprises her by telling the men that she belongs to him. Later that night, Akari takes a bath with Shiori and her friends. After finishing her bath, Akari asks Jiro to give her a hug. She also orders him to meet her on the beach that night. Jiro has no choice, so he goes to see her, and there he's shocked to see that Akari has worn that flashy swimsuit just for him. She asks him to not ignore her when they are outside, and it's clear that she's feeling jealous. Jiro is about to ask her if she likes him when Shiori and Hamano get there. Jiro has to hide in a cramped room with Akari, and this leads to him almost making out with her. Unfortunately for him, he passes out due to a heat stroke, and Akari has to drag him inside to cool him off. There, Jiro apologizes for being distant from her and promises to act just like he does when they're alone. The next morning, Shiori finds out that all the employees will be participating in a test of courage event. She gets scared way too easily and hopes she can be paired up with Jiro. Jiro fulfills her wish by manipulating the draw, which causes him to be paired with Shiori. Meanwhile, he makes sure that Akari gets to be alone with Tenjin. He wants to confess to Shiori during this event, but he gets distracted after learning that Akari got lost in the woods and Tenjin is looking for her. Scared that something might happen to Akari, Jiro runs into the woods, and there he finds her phone on the ground. While he's wandering through the woods, Akari gets rescued by Tenjin, and they decide to take shelter from the rain. Meanwhile, Shiori brings an umbrella for Jiro, who is happy to learn that Akari is safe. He thinks about going back to his room, when out of nowhere, Shiori asks him to kiss her. Jiro is hesitant, but he goes with the flow and they end up making out. At the same time, Akari confesses her feelings to Tenjin, who says he loves someone else. This rejection hurts Akari, but for some reason, she feels happy. She finally realizes that in her heart, she only loves Jiro. So she decides to fight for Jiro's love, and Tenjin agrees to cheer her on. And with this, Jiro's work trip comes to an end, and he now spends his summer locked up in his dorm room, where he's alone, because Akari has gone home for the summer. One morning, Jiro runs into Shiori at a manga store. They haven't talked ever since that kiss in the woods, so they are embarrassed to see each other. Still, Shiori invites him over for some tea, and Jiro takes up her offer, since he plans to officially ask her out. But for some reason, he hesitates and doesn't make any progress with her whatsoever. That afternoon, he's wondering why going out with Shiori feels wrong, when he suddenly receives a text from Akari. She wants him to go shopping with her. Jiro doesn't know why she wants to hang out with him, but from the way Akari acts on their little date, it's clear that she likes him. After spending the date together, Akari wants to get a lucky charm from a temple. Jiro is accompanying her when they run into Shiori, who asks Akari to race her to the temple. Akari takes up the challenge, and they run to the top of the mountain, while Jiro barely manages to reach the top. He's out of breath as he joins them in prayer. The anime ends as the next school term begins, with Akari and Jiro finally becoming an A-ranked couple.